New moon in Gemini on June 6th. There's some magic to this moon, and I want to explore that. It has to do with Hygeia and Chiron being conjunct. There's also some love relationship aspects to this new moon that has to do with Venus being on the same degree as the new moon, right? So new moon is sun, moon come together. Venus is conjunct the sun and the moon. So that's pretty beautiful for new beginnings in relationships, fresh starts in current relationships, attracting in possibly new relationships via social media, via dating apps. That's Gemini energy. So for those of you who are single out there, this is a really good time. It's a grace-filled, auspicious time to be on dating apps. I know that sounds weird, but Gemini is all about social media. It is all about dating apps. And with a new moon conjunct Venus, this is a time to like ramp up the connections and the dating. Like opening up the doors to those types of conversations. For those of us who are in relationship, this is a time to reorganize how we think about our relationships, reassess, reimagine, right? And step into new ways of communicating in relationships, step into new ways of being together, connecting. Gemini, it's connection points, new ways of deepening into our intimacy that can come through mercurial ways. Isn't this fun? This is fun. There's some depth to this new moon also. So you might be feeling, as I always do this, it's always like an embodiment of the energy. And so the way that I'm speaking is also kind of pointing to the energetics of this moon. And you might be like, whoa, this is like a quickening. Like you're talking really fast, Sabrina. You're sort of all over the place. That's Gemini energy. There is some depth to this new moon, though. There is a challenging aspect to this new moon that will potentially almost lock us up. It's an interesting feel. So this new moon is squaring Saturn. Isn't that interesting? Father time, Lord of karma. And a square is a challenging aspect. So it's almost like, feel into this, it's almost like planting seeds, right? When we get all excited, that springtime energy, like, yeah, Gemini, like, let's do this, right? New seeds, new relationships, let's like do the dating apps. And then it's like, Father time, Lord of karma is like, boosh. We're going to be real about this too. Isn't that wild? It's such an interesting like dichotomy. So don't be thrown off when you might hit slowdowns. The magic is still there, but don't be thrown off when like it's a seemingly, I'm going to call it a Mr. Miyagi moment. So an aspect of Saturn is the disciplinarian, is the I will help you into mastery. And I will do it through karmic lessons. That's Saturn. So if you think about Mr. Miyagi and the Karate Kid, right? He's like, wax on, wax off. So here's the trick to this new moon. You want to make it through the Saturn training. You want to make it through, you can think of Yoda in Star Wars, right? He trains the Jedi into mastery. Mr. Miyagi trains Karate Kid into mastery. So think about that. And it's like we have to make it through the wax on, wax off training to get to the magic, because there is some really good magic here, right? With Jupiter having just moved into Gemini, this new moon happening in Gemini, Hygeia and Chiron are conjunct. This is magic. Hygeia just brings magic. There's like a sprinkling of how would it feel to me? Like this lightness in the air, and Jupiter being now in mutable air sign of Gemini, it's like, brrr, like the connection points and how Jupiter, grace, how grace can now move is really stunning, right? Is really stunning. So prior to Jupiter being in Gemini, Jupiter was in Taurus, which is earthy. It's like the grace having to move through the bones, which has its benefits and its downsides. And now it's like Jupiter gets to move through the air. It gets to move through thoughts. So grace, instead of having to move slow and methodically through the bones and the blood, Jupiter, the grace, like the awakening, the expansion, the grace gets to move now through thought. It gets to move through air. It gets to move really quickly, and it gets to disperse wildly and freely. So feel into that, and feel into, where do you want to disperse the magic, right? Where do you want to disperse the grace as you're planting seeds at this new moon? What is it? So I want to talk about why this future thing is so loud too. There's this real focus right now with Jupiter having just moved into Gemini, and I'll talk about this. I talked about this in the last video. If you didn't see the Jupiter and Gemini specific podcast conversation or YouTube video, watch it. Watch it. If this interests you, this like stepping into potentials and greatness, and what is this expansion beyond upper limits and breaking past our own glass ceilings. What is this? That's a really good conversation to dive into. Really good episode to dive into. I will touch on it here though. So feeling into that, you expanding into like greatest potentials, your greatest potentials. Again, I'll talk about why that is in a moment, what's pointing at that or what's making that open. But you stepping into your greatest potentials and feeling into this new moon, where do you want to aim the magic? So maybe your greatest potential feels like it's via relationship, and it's attracting in a new relationship, right? You're like, look, this is the thing that lights me up. Feel into that. What is it that lights you up now? Not what lit you up last month, not what you felt like your purpose was a year ago, not what you even felt like your purpose was or your soul calling, or, the thing that would really fulfill you or make you feel like you're living a purpose-filled life. Not even what it was last week. It's like a reassessment of now. It's almost like we've come out of that eclipse season and all that wild astrology of May, right? Of April and May. It was just like intense. And now it's like, okay, you're on a new trajectory. So just imagine that. Here's a really great practice. You're on a new trajectory. We'll call this practice number 1. Practice number 1. You're on a new trajectory. And just imagine, okay, this is 0 point. For those of you who work with me in creation energy, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you don't work with me in creation energy, all good. There's going to be some ways this year to work in that energy. But even if you haven't yet, just feeling into 0 point, like 0 point. There is nothing that existed in the past. This is such a powerful practice to do. Nothing exists in the past. I want to let go of any of the conditioning from the past, let go of any of my preconceived notions, any of the things that I've got stuck in, linked to thought that I was becoming. Who I thought I was is not who I am. I am literally here at 0 point. There's nothing. I'm at 0 point, like ground zero. I'm at 0 point, total 0 point. And you just come to this 0 point, and then you feel into like 0 point. Nothing in the past exists. There is nothing in the past. There is nothing in the past. What is it that I really want to do? What is it that really lights me up? And you can't have any limits to this. It can't be, well, I'd have to sell my house then. And well, that would mean that I would have to move my babies across the world. Well, that would mean none of those thoughts. Like, do not do that. Do not do that. This is Jupiter and Gemini. This is the only way to work with Jupiter and Gemini. This is the only way to open up these potentials. This is the only way to tap into this magic. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy to tap into this magic. But I'm telling you exactly how to do it. I'm telling you exactly how to do it, right? It's 0 point. It's literally to have zero preconceived notions, zero like previous thoughts of what you thought was possible, what you don't think is possible. You really just literally sit at the 0 point on this new moon, It's a new moon. It's a new chapter. It's a totally new beginning. Totally, you get a new beginning. You get a complete fresh start here. You do. You just have to let go of the old belief systems. And so you just stand there right on this new moon, this 0 point. And it's this is where I'm pouring the magic. It's literally, you like scoop up the magic in the air. Scoop up the magic in the air of this moment. There's a lot of magic in the air. You scoop up the magic of the air. All the grace that's in the air, the Jupiter grace, Jupiter just went whoosh and just dispersed into the air. You literally scoop up, this is practice number 2. You scoop up all the magic in the air. you just visualize this, right? You can visualize this, you can embody this in a way, you can use your breath in a way, you can use sound in a way, you can use like all the different rewilding modalities or other modalities that you have, right? And you scoop up the grace and you pour it right into, like I was saying, an example could be relationship. Like you just know that this will light you up. You just know that this is how you're meant to like give love, receive love. This is what will make you radiant and this will make you shine. And you just pour it into that. And you have to hold the positive. That's Jupiter. You have to hold the open-mindedness. This is Venus on the new moon. You have to hold, like Aphrodite, that's Venus, holds this glorious alchemy magic. Most people don't know that. Most people don't go deep enough into the Venus archetype, the Aphrodite archetype, to see the kind of magic that she holds. It's love magic. It's like, but not like love relationship magic, not like love potion. It's like love alchemizes, like love, like her love of something can make something manifest. Her love can alter form of something. Her love can pull out someone's unique genius. Her love can pull through someone's purpose. Her love can make manifest, right? Make manifest. It's the do without doing, the make manifest. That's part of Venus's magic. And that is so alive at this new moon because she's conjunct the sun and the moon. So alive, so alive. And if we work with Mr. Miyagi, most people get stuck on Mr. Miyagi, right? Most people will get stuck on Mr. Miyagi. Will like, okay, great, I'm grabbing all the grace of this new moon of Jupiter now in Gemini. The grace has been dispersed. This new moon is conjunct Venus. Awesome. I'm grabbing all of it, and maybe you're launching a business and you just know like, wow, I have a different vocation to step into. And it's actually, I don't know, like I'm launching the therapy business. I'm launching a massage. I want to become a massage, whatever it is, like you're launching something. So you grab all the grace and you just pour it into that. Do not let the stuff in there of like, I'm too young, I'm too old, I don't have a social media presence, I don't know anything about business, don't let any of that stuff get in there. You just pour it in, right? And then you here's the next part, you let the Mr. Miyagi disciplinarian come in. So maybe what Mr. Miyagi needs to say, this is Saturn squaring this new moon, right? He's like, I'm going to teach you, I'm going to give you the skills you need to get there, right? I'm going to help you. Let's say you're on the dating app and the relationship is where you're pouring your magic into. I'm going to give you the weird connections. I don't know what that means exactly, but like weird, tricky connections so that your discernment gets really good and you find the right person, that you match the right person, right? So Saturn's going to throw some stuff. That's what he's going to do. He's square the new moon. He can't help it. He's going to throw some karmic shit at us. It's just Saturn. He can't help it. He's all about your mastery. He is all about your evolution. He is all about your greatest potentials, right? But oftentimes we'll be on the dating app and we get like a weird connection, right? Or something weird happens. We go on the date and it's just like awkward and weird. And then we just go, boosh, and we shut down. Or we're wanting to launch our massage therapy business and we get a negative comment on social media. Like, who do you think you are? Do you even have any training? And then we go, boosh, and we just shut down. When Saturn's trying to give you the skills, he's trying to get you to the place, right? He's giving you the skills. He's giving you the skills. So let that happen, right? He's also throwing a wrench to get you in the right direction. So it's not just that he's giving you the skills, he also throws the wrench to get you in the right direction. But it usually feels like a wrench to the face. So we got to keep going. Just keep going. And it's like this belief, right? This Jupiter and Gemini, it's belief. But just keep believing. It's like having this like resolution in self, resolute belief in self. Resolute belief in self. That's like this season. That's like, I don't know how long this season is exactly, but that's the energetics of it. Okay. I did mention that I want to point to why is this like early May time frame, this, we're talking about May 6th, the new moon. Why is this so all about great potentials? Like what's pointing to that, Sabrina? We're not on the nodes. This isn't eclipse season. Like Where the heck is this, like, my greatest self coming into play? Jupiter moving into Gemini on this new moon, I think we'll be at 1 degree. 1 degree. Jupiter's conjunct Sedna. Sedna's at 0 degrees of Gemini. Sedna is flavoring. Sedna at 0 degrees flavors Jupiter's entire journey through Gemini. Sedna is about your greatest transformation. Sedna is about you coming into your greatness. That's Sedna. That's the gift of Sedna. But you have to let go of your old life. You have to let go of your old self to move into your, in the myth, she goes from human to goddess form. So just feel into that for yourself. You go from where you are now into greatness. You go to next greatest expression of self. And it's not a little leap. It's a big leap. But the big leap requires the letting go of the old self. I talk about all of that in the Jupiter in Gemini video, right? So you can dive further into that. This Jupiter is also in the trine to Pluto during this moon, right? So Jupiter is conjunct Sedna trining Pluto. Pluto is about death and rebirth. It's death and rebirth. Pluto is one of the evolutionary points in our chart. So when we want to look at soul evolution, soul purpose, we look toward Pluto. Pluto gives us a lot of hints around that. And Pluto to be in a trine to Jupiter moving into Gemini conjunct Sedna. Pluto's like, hey, I'll help. I'll help death for rebirth. I'll help your greatest transformation. And I'm going to add power into the mix, right? That's Pluto. Pluto's going to add power into the mix. He's going to go, here's what you need for your empowerment. Now let's go back to the belief system, right? It's the believing in self is part of this power. This Gemini piece is part of this, like, believing in self, this believing in self. Gemini has this interesting energy of like not getting roped into the good opinions of others. It's one of the gifts of Gemini. Gemini is like a technician. Gemini can hold this very impersonal, right? Gemini can like strategize and hold like lots of information and be really, really like a step back, can see in a different way because Gemini doesn't take it personal. Gemini can also move super, super quick. That's something to kind of watch out for too, because in this energy, some of us can feel overwhelmed. Like it's too much information. It's coming too fast and too furious. I have too many choices. It's choices. There's like a lot of choices. Instead of there being 2 choices, there's 35 choices with Gemini, right? And it's back and forth, back and forth. Something really good to do in this energy is to consciously, in whatever way you're called to, slow it down. A lot of this energy is going to be moving into thought, into our head. Embodiment practices are really good right now. Getting in the body, being in the body, just taking big, deep breaths into your belly. Like you probably just felt my whole energetics change because I shifted out of Gemini energy and I've dropped into being in my body, into being really connected into the earth, really grounding it in. This can be a saving grace for some of us in this energy. For probably all of us, it's a really good practice. I'll just spend another second here with all of us. Just come back to that anytime you need to. Big, deep belly breath. You can even put your hands on your belly and just feel your belly rise and fall and rise and fall. Another aspect that I want to talk about, there's some depth. Here we'll bring in some more depth. Pluto brings depth. He's god of the underworld, right? So that's bringing us some depth. Is Persephone is opposing this new moon. So Persephone is Pluto's consort. Pluto's counterpart, feminine counterpart, is Persephone, queen of the underworld. How does this feel? So I think the thing that's the loudest in this moment, or the thing most worth mentioning in this moment, is Persephone represents feminine rites of passage. She represents maiden to queen. She represents owning our power, stepping into our power. And just because I said feminine doesn't mean I'm referring to woman stuff per se. She also represents owning more of our sexuality, like really coming into next right relationship with the fullness of our sexuality, awakening to more of our sexual energy, more of our sexual potentials, and not just sexual potentials for the act of sex, like sexual potentials to tap into the creative life force essence that is in you, the radiance that is in you, the aliveness that is in you, right? So sexual energy, not just for attracting others in or for sexual experiences, but sexual energy for health, for vitality, for aliveness, for creativity, for many, many things. So something, I'm just going to bring this one up too, with Venus conjunct this new moon, sacred sexuality can be a thing. Sex transmutation, working with sexual energy for things beyond just pleasure. That's alive. That's very alive, especially with Persephone opposite this new moon and Venus being conjunct the new moon. That can be something that can be coming up for us. Okay, let me feel. This is what I really want to dive into next. This will be like the final little aspect. Little, it's not a little aspect. I've been saving it. Save the best for last. Part of the reason this sexual energy is also so alive, it's not just Venus and Persephone, it's also that Hygeia is conjunct Chiron. I just want to see this chart. So it's Hygeia is conjunct Chiron, degree for degree, conjunct Eris, who is also conjunct Mars. Mars has just gone over Chiron, Hygeia, and Eris. Right, so by the time this new moon happens on the 6th, Mars will have journeyed over them. They're all still rather tightly together, Hygeia and Chiron being perfectly conjunct. What does that mean? Those are the great healers of the zodiac. Chiron and Hygeia. Hygeia, Kundalini, goddess of miraculous healing. Chiron, wounded healer, right? Deepest wounds lead to greatest gifts. The shaman, right? The shamanic healer. So feeling into the shamanic healer, right? Alive and online, conjunct Hygeia, Kundalini, goddess of miraculous healing. This is stunning. This is stunning. Hygeia also awakens sacred sexuality, sexual energy for healing, sexual energy for Kundalini awakening, sexual energy for other awakening, sex transmutation, sexual energy for whatever we're called, right? In whatever ways we're called to work with sexual energy. And being conjunct Chiron, it's like the two healers are getting together and they're just like having this great sexual free dance party. Like, here's just a lot of Shakti. Here's a lot of healing energy. Here's a lot of Kundalini. And so this energy adding, remember I was saying like grab the grace. You can also grab the healing juju that's alive at this new moon. You can tap in. So here's practice number, I don't know what practice this is. We'll say practice. I think I only said practice 1 earlier. I've probably given like 8 other ones in between, but we'll just say practice 2 because I don't think I said anything else. You can grab the healing energy and feel into your greatest potential. This is powerful. These 2 practices, powerful. Powerful. If you need to go back and listen to the first practice, I would do it. Do these 2 things on this new moon. I'm telling you. I am telling you. It will be powerful. Grab the healing energy. Feel into your greatest potentials. Your greatest life. Your greatest path forward. and pour that healing energy into, if you know what needs to be healed, directly aim it at that. But you may not. You might be aware of childhood patterns that are really blocking relationship. You might be aware of trust issues, we'll say, that are blocking you from calling in the next greatest love of your life, right? You might be aware of what it is to send healing to, but you might not. So it might be more of an overall, more broad of just, I'm going to do a meditation, however you do a meditation. I'm going to bring the healing magic and I'm going to pour it into, I'm going to pour it into whatever it is to be healed for my greatest path forward. I don't know what that is, but I'm going to hold the intention. I'm going to hold the intention, become an alchemist, become a shaman, right? Step into we all have amazing alchemy skills. We all have amazing medicine man, medicine woman skills, medicine person skills. Just do the practices, whatever your own practices are, go for them. If you don't have a practice, we'll work with this in membership. So in ReWilding membership, we're going to do this. We're going to work with this on the 1st. So if you're in membership, you will have already done this by the time this video comes out, right? You will have already journeyed through this, worked in these ways with practice 1, where we work with the grace in the air, and then practice 2, we work with the healing energy in the air, and we aim it at the things that will lead to our greatest unfolding, our highest potentials, right? If you're not in membership, that's there through this new moon. So that workshop's waiting for you. So if you're like, I don't know how to tap into this, Sabrina, this sounds magical and mystical and amazing. And maybe you have your ways to do it and do that. But maybe you don't have your ways to do that. And if you don't have your ways to do that, come join us. Join us for a month. Try out ReWilding membership. Just come and do this 2-hour journey with us. And stay if you love it. And if you don't, that's great too. But if it serves, I'd love to share it with you. I think the more that we can tap into this, right? And the more that we can all move into the things that really light us up, the more that it gifts the whole world, right? The more that I step into my unique potentials and what I'm really here to do, right? And the more that I'm a channel for grace and a channel for love, which to me, that's what's really fulfilling. But the more that we all do that, or the more it just ripples across. It just ripples across. And I do weirdly, I just want to feel. Starting to fuzz out here at the end. Like we start to get to the end and I'm like, wait. So just give me one quick second. I just want to feel for a moment. What if you were on a new timeline? Like what if you were on a new timeline? And what if this new moon just gives us an opportunity to honor the fact that you're on a new timeline? And what if you weren't on a new timeline, but if you just gave yourself an opportunity to feel like you were on a new timeline, you were able to shift some stuff and step into some stuff that you maybe never would have. So whether you believe humanity's on a new timeline, I know some of that talk is out there, or we're all on a new timeline individually, a new life trajectory, a new timeline, whether you believe it or not, why not just take this opportunity on this new moon to do that, to do that so that we can open up to potentials that may not have been there because we didn't give ourselves an opportunity to. So that's what I very much invite you to do. Again, we'll do that in ReWilding membership if you don't have a way of doing that, or if you just want to try something new. All right, links will be below for that. I love you all so very much. It's so beautiful to be here with you. We have a wonderful, amazing, growing community. Your comments are so appreciated. They are so loved. I love seeing you all below. I'm always there for the first kind of 2 days after a video goes out. If this serves, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, then you won't miss things in the future. Our Facebook group, we're always hanging out in there. I don't know. I'd love to see you in ReWilding membership. And I will just end by saying, have a new moon and lots of Jupiter blessings, and grab this grace and this magic by the tail and swallow it whole and see what happens, because it's big and it's beautiful. All right. So much love to you.